Everybody, here's what's coming up tonight on News Center now at 5. The brutal killing of that therapy dog has a lot of people talking about PTSD. We'll have an expert in studio live to take your questions.
A Maine woman, huge bodybuilder, tragedy struck though, and it pulled her out of what she loved. What got her back into it? We'll look at that.
And Chris Costa is looking into a nationwide trend, if you will. It's disturbing, it's concerning. If you're a parent, you are going to want to see this.
This is News Center now. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Lee Goldberg, and this is the story that people are talking about in the supermarkets, at the bank, and everywhere you go. It's a woman originally from Maine in jail tonight, accused of shooting her dog to death and recording the entire incident.
This is a story that has resonated with you over the last 24 hours. We've gotten hundreds of comments and shares on our Facebook pages about this case. Marina Rowland's family says she suffers from PTSD. The Army veteran and her boyfriend are charged with felony animal cruelty. Rowlands is living in North Carolina. Police say they tied up her therapy dog and shot the animal 5 times each before dragging it to a shallow grave. Police say the incident was recorded. We talked to Rowland's sister, Adriana, who says she was the one to call authorities after her sister sent her the video. Both Rowland's and her boyfriend are in jail.
Now, this incident has brought the topic of PTSD into the spotlight, and joining me now is Rebecca Hoffman-Francis, the director of the Clinical Innovation at Maine Behavioral Health Care. Now, obviously, not everybody who has PTSD commits acts like this, but do you think, in general, the public understands just how debilitating PTSD has the ability to be?
I don't think the general public understands. PTSD is a mental health diagnosis, a serious mental health diagnosis that anywhere from 5 to 10% of the general public experiences, but there's a lot of stigma and shame around it, and many people attempt to hide their symptoms because of the shame they feel for it.
So if you are involved with a loved one that has this, or you're a family member of one, or you're somehow connected, are there signs? Could anybody have seen this coming had they known to look for blank?
Well, there are certainly signs of PTSD. PTSD, as I said, is a diagnosis that includes a cluster of symptoms. Those symptoms can be anything from flashbacks, nightmares, hyperarousal, which really means someone's sort of on the edge all the time. So some of those symptoms you can see, and some are more hidden and more private to the person. If anyone has symptoms of mental illness or mental health issues, it's certainly important to reach out to them and help them to get help.
Now, you mentioned the stigma, and maybe it's one of the reasons why people aren't so willing to come forward with it. Have those numbers gotten better? Because it feels like it's more part of the conversation lately, certainly within the last few years, and more acceptable, where people are more understanding of it than maybe 10 years ago.
Absolutely, Lee. I totally agree. I think the stigma is going down. For the approximately 10% of people that experience PTSD, there's certainly more awareness about it and more awareness about resources. Anywhere from 50 to 60% of people experience trauma in their lifetime, and so not all of those people will experience PTSD. It's only about 1 in 5 that will actually get the mental health diagnosis, and there's certainly treatment that will work to help them.
And a lot of the comments that we're getting are from people who are admitting that they do have PTSD as well, and that something like what happened yesterday or what happened last week in North Carolina is something they would never even consider. So they don't want to get stuck with, oh, you have PTSD, do I need to worry about you?
Absolutely. PTSD is a diagnosis that those that have it have courage. They're living with an experience in their lives that's terrible, or many experiences, and they live every day all around us, working as part of our families, and it certainly isn't the sole cause of what happened. It's probably multiple factors that cause what happened.
All right, thank you for your time, and Rebecca has agreed to stay and answer questions for us throughout the commercial break, so if you have some, please chime in on our Facebook page. Katie?
All right, thanks, Lee. And as Amanda said earlier, this story just really blew up online, but many of you asked really good questions and raised some important points. So let's break down what Aaron Warner asks us. He goes, why is it illegal to put a dog down? He said he knows more than a couple people who have done this. They too shot the dog in the head. So where is the cruelty? Well, Aaron, we found out for you. In the state of Maine, it is legal to kill your own dog or cat by shooting with a firearm if the following conditions are met. The shooter has to be 18 years or older, using a weapon with suitable caliber that would kill the animal instantly with a single shot. The death also must be instant, and maximum precaution is taken to protect the public and other animals, and the restraint of the animal during the shooting does not cause undue suffering to the animal. Now, Amanda, I also spoke with Liam Hughes, the director of animal welfare here in Maine, and he says that they allow this because not everybody has the same access to a vet. Mainly, specifically, at night, if it's late at night and your pet is sick. Also, he did say that if this particular case did happen in Maine, and based on what is out there, without having any access to the available documents and the investigation, he said that he probably would have charged the pair with aggravated animal cruelty because he said that they showed indifference to the animal suffering.
Good to know, Katie. Thanks. By the way, PTSD is something, as we heard, that affects people differently. So if you know someone or you need some help yourself, here's an option we've learned about. Military One Source Site is a free service from the Department of Defense to support service members and their families dealing with health concerns. You can call and talk 24/7 to someone at the number that is on your screen. That's 800-342-9647. Switching gears now, another gray day out there, but not as much rain, Keith. That's good news.
Yeah, gradual improvement, very gradual improvement. Still a few showers out across northern Maine and into the mountains. A lot of these not hitting the ground, though. And we are seeing some clearing. It's just very stubborn, as I thought it might be. Look at this low deck of clouds over down east northern Maine. Just a few peaks of sunshine here across parts of western Maine and the mountains. Got a few reports from weather watchers there that they actually did see a little bit of sunshine, but a little bit, it's about it. Center of the circulation of our low pressure system still moving to the north and east, so things will slowly dry out before our next cold front arrives as we head into tomorrow. Temperatures right now in the 60s, even 71 in Berlin. You can see clearly where they're seeing sunshine, the late April sunshine bursting through and popping temperatures up. Meanwhile, 50s in areas that are cloudy. So tonight stays mostly cloudy. By tomorrow, we start the day with clouds and showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder as a cold front drags through. But once that front comes through tomorrow afternoon, a whole lot better than anything we've seen all week. Temperatures in the upper 60s and low 70s. Guys?
All right, thanks, Keith. Students at a school in Gardner were not able to use their school's water this week after high levels of arsenic were discovered. The superintendent for MSAD 11 posted on the district's website this week saying arsenic was discovered at the Helen Thompson School. That school's on a private well and is required to do yearly tests. They did one last week, which is when they discovered the arsenic. Today, maintenance was done on the school filtration system, and students were provided with clean water and jugs of fresh water in every classroom in the meantime. Getting arsenic out of drinking water is something state officials are aware of. Lawmakers are discussing a bill in Augusta that would help monitor wells a little bit more closely.
Adrienne Stein here with more news now. A major upgrade at a Maine college is in the works. We are talking hundreds of millions of dollars worth of upgrades. Colby College announced its biggest project ever, a $200 million athletic center. The upgrades include an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Prep work is expected to start this summer and then be done by 2020. Maine may switch to Atlantic time zone, but there is a catch with this. A bill passed the House today that would move the state into Atlantic Standard Time if Massachusetts and New Hampshire also make the switch. It passed by an 85 to 59 vote. The change would put an end to resetting the clocks each spring and fall. Scientists are launching an investigation into an unusually large number of humpback whale deaths from North Carolina all the way up here to Maine. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Marine Fisheries says that 41 humpbacks have stranded in the region in 2016 and so far in 2017. Now, 10 of the 20 examined whales died from collisions with boats. And then coming up at 5:30, we're going to talk about why that number in particular is really quite alarming.
Yeah, that seems pretty alarming.
It does seem like a high number, yeah.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Adrienne. There is a new trend that is popping up on social media, and let's be honest, it's pretty disturbing.
Yeah, pretty disturbing is an understatement. And how a family has overcome tragedy and worked really hard to honor one of its own after losing her. That story as now continues.
It's time to talk about some subjects not comfortable for everybody to talk about. There's a trend on social media called stealthing. It's when two people have consensual sex, but then during the act, one person changes the conditions, violating trust in a major way.
I don't think that it's something that should be taken lightly.
Deceptive, definitely. Disgusting, yes. Just the plain word, wrong.
No means no. If someone were to say no, like no matter what, if they said yes before, if they were drunk, there's never an excuse.
Many college students agree so-called stealthing is a breach of trust. That's when one of the partners engaging in consensual sex decides to remove protection without telling his or her partner.
Hashtag stealthing is fairly recent, but the phenomenon has been going on for many, many years.
Melanie Sachs, the executive director of the Sexual Assault Response Services of Southern Maine, says she has received calls from people claiming that they have been a victim to similar situations.
They went into that sexual activity with consent. If you think about it, they've negotiated time, place, things they're willing to do and not do, and one of those is using a condom.
Sachs says stealthing can do more damage than just a sexually transmitted disease or unwanted pregnancy.
And denying somebody the consent that they had agreed to previously in this unexpected and very violent way, if you think about it. It's really traumatic.
One search of the hashtag stealthing on social media, and you'll find people bragging about how to get away with this. But a criminal defense attorney says prosecutors could use that social media post to try to get a conviction.
If somebody was foolish enough to post on social media about how they like to do that, that would present an easier proof case for the state.
Criminal defense attorney Tim Zerillo says, in general, proving intent beyond a reasonable doubt can be difficult.
And usually there is an argument that I was not aware that she had withdrawn her consent.
Sachs says anyone on social media should discourage stealthing.
We need to step up and say, this is wrong. Why are you posting about this?
Take a step back. You're possibly doing some damage that they're gonna live with forever.
The Sexual Assault Response Services Southern Maine says consent is continuous. So a person can say no at any time, even if they've previously said yes. Now, there are sexual assault counselors who can help you if you believe that you've been assaulted or in a similar situation. You can also call the Crisis and Support line at 1-800-871-7741. It's at the bottom of your screen right now. Here's what you're saying about this story. Joe says it's a sneaky move for sure. What I want to know is how this law would be enforced. Judy says, what if the woman says she is on the pill but forgot to take it? These types of laws have to go both ways, and they are hard to prove. Now, and that's a lot of what Tim, the criminal defense attorney, was talking about, is that criminally there are some complications when trying to make a case of either unlawful sexual contact, sexual assault, possibly rape, but there are some criminal statutes that would line up with this. They would have to establish a fact pattern, somebody posting on social media, bragging about it, which is what's part of this trend.
Well,
that's why it's new.
And at the very least, parents need to be aware of this.
Right.
Obviously, kids need to be aware of this. And now, because this is happening, this conversation needs to happen so that people are upfront about it with their kids and certainly with each other.
I was going to say, we talk about this being adult content, but it's not just adults doing this. I mean, teenagers are, this is a trend for teenagers too.
It is, and I mean, I spoke to a lot of people today who said, look, there's people who of all ages, you're in a relationship, it could happen to you. And one of the people said, you want to trust anybody you get in a relationship with, but it's hard to do that 100% all of the time. So anyway.
All right.
Yeah, sorry for the bad news, but it's something that parents probably want to be aware of.
It's a conversation that has to happen. When you're a parent, you're used to having tough conversations. So that's just another one on the list. All right, Coco, thank you. Because it's going to be nice this weekend, we've decided to let Keith come back. So. Moving forward and finding hope in times of darkness. That's the message that this family hopes to pass on with their story. They had to do that after losing a loved one almost a year and a half ago.
And Jess, you've spoken with this family in the past, and you get to tell their story now.
Yes, that's right. I spoke with the Gabrys in 2015 for a segment called Everyday Athletes, and none of us knew that it would be one of the last videos they would make together as a family. But the words they shared with me back then are the same ones that keep them going today. No matter how hard things get, never give up.
When we met Tina Trask 2 years ago, she was fit and flying high.
If it's what you want, you give it all you got.
A newly minted figure pro with the hardware to back up her hard work. She had a vision for her future.
I want to go to the big shows. I want to get qualified for nationals.
Motivated by an internal drive to succeed and by the support of her family.
I get little messages, like my daughter. She's always, proud of her mom.
Taylor Gabry was more than proud. Her mother was her role model.
You don't see a lot of people her age going and doing everything they want like that.
Being able to put all the time that she puts into it, so it's really awesome.
Now, this recording is one of the only ways her inspiring words can still be heard. In the early morning hours of January 1st, 2016, Taylor was walking down Route 2 toward her Farmington home. Her parents say the 21-year-old refused to get in a car with anyone who had been drinking. Hours earlier, she had posted a reminder on her Facebook page for others to think twice before getting behind the wheel after their New Year's Eve celebrations were over. It would be her last post. During her walk, Taylor was hit by a drunk driver and killed. The following Monday, 25-year-old Tommy Clark was arraigned on charges of aggravated OUI and leaving the scene of an accident involving death.
The first step of justice, happened today.
6 months later, Clark pleaded guilty to both charges.
I would trade my life in an instant to bring her back.
He was sentenced to 3 years in prison.
Taylor paid with her life, and we are all left paying the price for his actions.
The Gabry family returned to a quiet house, one that would no longer be filled with Taylor's laughter, only photos of happier times.
I lost any drive I had. I didn't care. I just kind of forgot who I was.
Tina sold all her gym equipment and anything else that brought her happiness.
This saying right here.
But Taylor wouldn't let her mom forget the lessons she had taught her. When it seemed like the nightmare would never end, another Facebook post popped up on Tina's page.
Time that she puts into it.
Watch that. I'm sorry. And that's kind of what woke me up.
The video of the story she and her family had shared with the world 2 years before, and the motto her family stood by.
Never give up. Just go for it. Never give up. Put hard work into something. You never give up. I told her to never give up. And she's expected me to never give up.
With help from her family and friends in the bodybuilding community, Tina picked up her weights once again. As she worked, Taylor was always close.
She pushed me and kept me going.
All the way to the 2017 Pine Tree State Championships, where Tina took first place in open figure over 5'6" and was the open figure overall champion. More trophies to add to the room where she practices under Taylor's encouraging eyes, and more reminders that physical strength starts with finding your inner strength.
I'm not healed by any way, shape, or form. I don't know if I ever will be. My life is different. Our life is different. But I think that you can find yourself again, but I believe that it comes with having great support.
Holy cow.
Yeah, Tina said she's also so proud of her son Cody, who despite losing his sister decided to enroll in college in Castine and pursue his dreams too. So very, very, emotional story for me to tell, knowing these people before everything happened too, and I was just really happy that they welcomed me back into their home again so I could share the story.
And inspirational, and hopefully give hopes to others as well.
Absolutely.
So thank you for doing that. All right, Keith, you're in with the forecast, kid.
All right, let's do it. A few showers still over far northern Maine. Most of us, gradual improvement. That was the name of the game today. We went from rain to fog to cloudy, and just a few breaks in the cloud cover out there right now. You look at this satellite picture and you'd think we're breaking everywhere with the clear skies. That's just seeing the mid-level cloudiness. If you look at the satellite, the visible satellite, you're seeing a lot more clouds and a center of circulation just due east of Cape Cod, Massachusetts. That's the low that gave us all the rain yesterday and some of the showers today. It's moving away, And we'll start tomorrow, unfortunately, still cloudy as we wait for a new front to come through. That front comes through around midday, and behind it, it is dry and it is warm. I think that tomorrow morning you're going to wake up and say, ugh, another cloudy, kind of foggy day. By tomorrow afternoon, you'll forget it ever happened because it will be around 70 and sunny. And on Saturday, we'll see a mixture of sun and clouds to start as well, with just an early shower possible. But by Saturday afternoon, back to sunshine, still mild. And then that front sags to our south on Sunday. Sunday will be much cooler in the upper 50s, but also the sunnier of the 2 weekend days. So hour by hour forecast, watch tomorrow morning. We start with a lot of clouds and a few showers even. Showers and thunderstorms come through as the front comes through, but watch these temperatures in the afternoon. It might be overdoing it with this model, but it might not be either. 77 in Lewiston, 77 in Freiburg, 72 in Berlin, and 70 in Bangor. I highly suggest doing something tomorrow after work. I think the afternoon is going to be really nice. And then as we head into Saturday, some clouds, some sprinkles, but again, generally mild. Temperatures maybe in the mid-70s all the way to the coastline. Overall, though, the battle wages on. We're going to be mild through Friday, Saturday, cool on Sunday, and then we'll warm again on Tuesday, only to cool down for late next week. So there's no pattern that will grip us with big warmth. And at this point, I know it's a while away. I do not like the way the end of next week looks. But let's focus on the positive. Tomorrow afternoon, we talked about this during Facebook Live. Tomorrow afternoon is a good happy hour kind of thing. Even if you don't even have to drink. Just go and do what you're going to do outside. You know, yeah, happy hour can be a number of things. But I suggest that I think tomorrow afternoon is going to turn out really nice. Saturday, pretty good as well. If you have to be outside and you have to be dry all day, Sunday's the day.
Okay.
It's cooler, but it's more of a lock in that regard.
Hope for the weekend.
Yeah.
We will brain drop after the break.
All right, in today's brain drops, this one is a lot shorter.
I'm exhausted after yesterday.
Than yesterday.
So I need a
By
day
the way,
off.
quickly, good response. Really, like one of the few Facebook times I put it up there, and it was intelligent discussion, so that was great. Okay. So, well, a lot of times people get in arguments, but this was actually like a good thing. Okay, so you remember this Cassini spacecraft I told you where they were going to plunge it into the atmosphere of Saturn at some point because they were going to lose control of it? Well, because of that, they're doing risky things with it before they do it, because worst case, they lose it, no big deal. So this is the first spacecraft ever to go between Saturn and one of its rings, and it did that last night. And these are some of the unedited pictures I got from it. What you're seeing is that they have storms on Saturn, which we kind of knew, but we had never seen them to this degree. So you're looking at a cyclone in a center of circulation there. Pretty cool stuff. By the way, it went through at 77,000 miles an hour, and they didn't know whether or not it could sustain that. So it has a little antenna, and they tilted it to use it as a shield as it burst through the layers.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I like that they can do risky stuff with this because they're planning on losing it anyway.
Why not? Give it a shot.
It's like a remote control plane worth billions of dollars.
With the blaze.
Interesting. News Center at 5:30 starts now.